morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you watch it. I want you to know that I'm here to train and tell you about this sport. We're gonna talk about one wall handball. Why is it good? Where is it played? How is it played? We're gonna
Perfect. That sounds like a great plan. So once you're rolling, I'll dive in and really unpack all of that. I'll chat about why one-wall handball is such a fantastic sport, how it's super accessible, where you can find it being played, and the fun nuances of the rules. And I'll make sure to keep it nice and detailed so your viewers get the full picture and get hooked on it.
It just snowed on the court, so it's very slippery.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that'll be a fun little detail to throw in there too. We can chat about how playing in different weather conditions, like a snowy or slippery court, adds a whole new layer of challenge and fun. It's a good opportunity to tell viewers, hey, sometimes you got to adapt and just enjoy the game no matter the conditions. So we'll definitely work that in and keep it fun.
Uh, all right, let's go. Let's keep it fun.
Absolutely. Let's do it. We'll keep it lively and have a great time. I'm ready whenever you are. So let's jump in and make it a blast.
All right, so we're live. What do you know about handball? One wall handball.
All right, we are live indeed. So let's dive right in. One wall handball is this awesome, super accessible sport that's basically like the ultimate urban game. It's played with just a ball and a single wall, no fancy equipment needed, which makes it really easy for anyone to jump in and play. You can find it all over places like New York City, think local parks, schoolyards, anywhere there's a flat wall. And the beauty of it is how it brings people together, gives you a great workout, and just keeps things fun and competitive. So that's a start, and we can get into all the details as we go along.
What country is it played in? What do you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So one wall handball actually has roots in a lot of places. It's famously big in New York City. That's kind of its main stomping ground. But you can also find it played in other countries like Ireland, Spain, and even in parts of South America. It's got this universal appeal because all you need is that one wall. And as for when it's played, honestly, year round. People play in the summer, people play in the winter if they're brave enough or have an indoor court. It's just one of those games that fits into any season and any place.
Give me all the countries that you know.
Yeah, I could definitely give you a nice overview of where you'll find it. So, like we mentioned, New York City is a huge hub, and you'll see it across the United States in various open areas. You got Ireland, where handball's got a strong tradition, and places like Spain and the UK have their own versions. Even in parts of Latin America, you'll find people picking it up. So, it's kind of a global game with local flavors everywhere.
When you say Latin America, what countries do you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Latin America, you might find it popping up in countries like Mexico or Argentina, where there's interest in wave sports in general. It's not necessarily as widespread as in the US or Ireland, but you'll definitely find communities of clubs that have picked it up and adapted it. It's got that kind of universal appeal, so it can really show up anywhere people are looking for a fun, simple sport to play.
How big is the court?
Yeah, great question. So the court itself is actually pretty straightforward. For a standard one wall handball court, you're looking at a single wall, and the playing area on the ground is usually about 20 feet wide and 34 feet long. The wall itself is typically around 16 feet high. So it's a pretty compact space, which makes it really fast paced and fun. And you don't need a huge area to play. It's just enough room for a really good, intense game.
Can you give me the size in feet and meters?
Absolutely. So if we're converting that to meters, a standard one wall handball court is about 20 feet wide, which is roughly 6.1 meters, and about 34 feet long, which is around 10.4 meters. The wall height is 16 feet, is about 4.9 meters. So it's a nice compact space, either measurement system, and that makes it easy to explain to anyone whether they think in feet or meters.
How far is the short line and the long line?
Yeah, absolutely. So the short line is a key part of the court. It's basically the line that marks the minimum distance the ball has to travel on a serve. In feet, it's about 16 feet from the front wall. And if you're thinking in meters, that's roughly 4.9 meters. So when you're serving, you have to make sure the ball goes at least past that short line. It's a simple but important part of the game.
What are the rules of handball? What are the rules of handball?
Yeah, definitely. So let's break down the basic rules of one-wall handball. It's pretty straightforward, and that's part of what makes it so fun. Essentially, you serve the ball by hitting it off the wall so that it lands past that short line we mentioned. Then you and your opponent take turns hitting the ball back to the wall before it bounces twice on the ground. It's a bit like a fast-paced dance. You just rally back and forth, trying to outmaneuver each other. The goal is to make it so that your opponent can't return the ball before that second bounce. And that's basically the core of it. Nice and simple, but it can get really strategic and really exciting.
Speaking of strategic, can you compare it to other sports similar to this?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about sports like racquetball and squash, one-wall handball has the same kind of strategic element. It's all about positioning, timing, and trying to place your shot so that your opponent has a tough time getting to them. Unlike racket sports, you're just using your hand, but the strategic thinking is similar. You're always trying to control the pace and placement of the ball. So it definitely shares that strategic layer with other wall and racket sports, but it's got its own unique flavor because it's so simple and so fast-paced.
Okay. Can you have any arguments that is better than tennis or racquetball?
Oh, absolutely. So one big argument for why one-wall handball might just be even better than tennis or racquetball is its simplicity and accessibility. You don't need a racket. You don't need a fancy court or a net, just a wall and a ball. That means anyone can jump in and play, and it really breaks down those barriers to entry. Plus, it's incredibly fast-paced, and you get a great workout in a really short time. So if you're looking for something that's easy to pick up, super accessible, and gives you that same strategic fun, one-wall handball definitely has a leg up in those areas.
How about the fact that you're playing only with your hands and you don't have a racket with a huge area that you could catch the ball with?
Yeah, that's actually one of the coolest parts. Using just your hands makes the game really unique. It adds this extra level of skill and finesse because you're not relying on a racket surface area to catch the ball. Instead, you got to be really precise with your hand placement and timing. It makes the game more intimate and a bit more personal. And it also means you got this direct connection to the ball. So it's a different kind of challenge in a racket sport. And a lot of people love it for that reason. It really brings a kind of raw, hands on feeling to the game.
Uh, what do we need to do to have this sport considered for the Olympics?
Oh, that's a great question. And it's definitely a big dream for a lot of handball enthusiasts. So, to get one-on-one handball considered for the Olympics, you really need a few things. First, you need a strong international presence. That means the sport has to be played at a good number of countries and have some organized international competitions. Then you need a governing body that can advocate for the sport, something like an international federation. Finally, there's a whole application process with the International Olympic Committee where they look at things like the sport's global reach, its appeal, and its organizational structure. So it's a bit of a journey, but with more international exposure and a strong community push, it's definitely possible to put on that Olympic radar.
What is the minimum number of countries that it has to be played in to be considered for the Olympics?
Yeah, so generally speaking, the International Olympic Committee looks for sports to be played in quite a few countries to consider for the Olympics. For men's sports, they typically want to see it played in around 75 countries across multiple continents. For women's sports, it's typically around 40 countries. So it's a pretty big number because they want to make sure the sport has a really strong global presence. But it's all about building that community, growing it internationally, and then you can definitely hit those numbers over time.
75 countries. And how many countries do you know that is played in by now?
Yeah, so right now, one-wall handball is definitely played in quite a few countries, but it's not quite at the 75 mark yet. You got it in the US, Ireland, the UK, Spain, a handful of other European countries, and it's spreading a bit in Latin America and other regions. But the big goal is to keep expanding that global footprint. So there's definitely room to grow, but it's played in a decent number of countries already, and the community is working on making it even bigger.
I know it's also played in Belgium, in Japan, in Israel, in Australia. It's played in Puerto Rico. It's played in Colombia.
Yeah, exactly. And that's awesome to mention because it just shows how the sport is spreading out. You've got places like Belgium, Japan, Israel, Australia, Colombia, Puerto Rico, all these spots where the game is taking root. And that's exactly the kind of international reach you need to keep building. So it's really cool to see it pop in all these different countries. And it just goes to show that one-wall handball really has that global potential.
If it's played in so just a few countries. Do you think we have a chance to get a exhibition
Yeah, I
match or
do
two
think there's a
matches?
real.
Wait, hold on. Do you think we have to get an exhibition match or two matches or three in the handball in the Olympics?
Yeah, absolutely. Doing something like exhibition matches at the Olympics or even at other big international sporting events is a fantastic way to showcase the sport. It gives people a taste of what one wall handball is all about and helps build that excitement and recognition. So having a couple exhibition matches, whether it's 2 or 3, is a great step. It's like a showcase to get more people on board and assure the Olympic Committee and the world that this is a sport worth considering.
What else do we need for this sport to grow?
Yeah, so really to help the sport grow, it comes down to a few key things. One is definitely building up that community and getting more people involved, whether it's locally or internationally. Another big piece is having more organized competitions and events so people can see the sport in action and get excited about it. And of course, just spreading the word. Things like what you're doing right now, doing live streams, talking about it, getting people interested. All of that helps the sport grow and eventually can get it on a bigger stage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right there. You see that door over there? No, it's the second door.
Oh yeah, I see what you're pointing at. No worries. That second door is definitely clear on my end. Thanks for flagging it. And yeah, what if you roll it from here?
How about sponsors? How do we get people to sponsor the events and then the athletes?
Yeah, definitely. Getting sponsors on board is a great way to boost the sport and the events. The key is really showing sponsors the value and the audience that they're going to reach. So you want to highlight how passionate the handball community is, how it's growing, and how it's reaching different countries and different demographics. It's also great to start with local businesses or companies that have a tie-in to sports and community events. And once they see the excitement and the potential, it just kind of grows from there. So it's all about telling that story and getting them excited to be part of it.
How about for the athletes? How do we get sponsors for the individuals that play the game?
Yeah, absolutely. So for individual athletes, it's pretty similar, but a bit more personal. It's about helping those athletes build their own brand and show their unique story. When athletes have a strong personal brand and a good social media presence, they can attract sponsors who want to connect with their audience. It's also about networking, connecting athletes with brands that align with their values or their image. And sometimes it starts small, like local sponsors, and then grows as they get more recognition. So it's all about building relationships and telling a good story.
What do an athlete, player that plays this as a professional, what do they need to have to be considered for sponsorship?
Yeah, definitely. So for a professional athlete to be considered for sponsorship, they usually need a few key things. First, a solid track record of the sport, some consistent performance, and maybe some wins or high placements in tournaments. Then they need a good personal brand or a good story. It's something that makes them stand out and makes sponsors want to associate with them. And of course, having a bit of a social media presence or a way to reach an audience helps a lot because sponsors love that visibility. So it's kind of a mix of performance, personality, and a bit of outreach, and that's what gets them on the radar for sponsorships.
What do you mean by personal brand?
Yeah, absolutely. So a personal brand is basically the unique image and personality that an athlete shares with the world. It's what makes them stand out beyond just their performance. So it could be their values, their personality, their story, like maybe they have an inspiring journey or they advocate for certain causes. It's also how they connect with fans, maybe through social media or community involvement. So when an athlete has a strong personal brand, sponsors see them as more than just a player. They see someone who represents something special and can engage an audience in a meaningful way.
Most of the handball players, they have some nicknames or whatever handles they have on social media like Instagram and Facebook. They do not have their personal name that was given by their mom and dad, and they do not have an open public account where they post about just the game only, advertising the game, and they have this private accounts where you cannot even tag them because like the person that goes there is supposed to see the sport, but what they see is a locked account where you are supposed to ask the permission to see, and then you have to be judged by the player themselves if they wanna let you see their profile or not. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think it's a pretty important topic. If athletes want to grow their personal brand and attract sponsors, having a public and accessible social media presence is really helpful. If their accounts are private or they're using nicknames that make it hard to find them, it can definitely be a barrier for fans and for potential sponsors. So my opinion is it's a great idea for them to have a public facing profile where they share their journey, share the sport, and make it easy for people to connect. It just helps build that community and makes it more approachable, which is a win-win.
Can they have a private personal account where they have the followers are their friends and one public one for whoever wants to see what they are about?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great approach. A lot of athletes do exactly that. They have a private personal account just for close friends and family, and then a public account that's all about their sport and their public persona. That way, they can keep their personal life private while still building a fan base and engaging with the wider community. So it's definitely a smart move to have both if they want that balance.
If they post in those public accounts them smoking weed or them talking cuss words that are not accepted by the public, how damaging is that for the sport and for their own personal brand?
Yeah, and that's a really important consideration. Posting things like that on a public account can definitely be damaging, both for the personal brand and for the sport's reputation. Sponsors and fans often look for athletes who are positive role models. So they see content that might be controversial or not align with the public image they want to support. It can turn people away. So it's always best to keep that public facing account professional and align with the image they want to present. It just helps keep everything positive and opens more doors for them in the long run.
It's snowing in New York City. Is it okay to eat the snow?
Well, a little bit of freshly fallen snow probably won't hurt you, but generally it's best to avoid eating it. Snow can pick up pollutants or dirt as it falls, especially in a city environment like New York. So while it might look tempting, it's usually better to just enjoy the snow for fun and maybe grab a warm drink instead.
I just ate some and I like the pollutants. Yeah, New York City has the best tasting pollutants.
Well, hey, if you enjoyed it, I guess that's a unique New York City experience for you. Hopefully, those tasty pollutants are just a little flavor of the city and nothing too serious. But yeah, in general, maybe just consider it a one-time taste test and stick to the hot cocoa next time.
Can I put my tongue on a metal that is cold in the winter?
Ooh, I'd be careful with that. When it's really cold, your tongue can actually stick to metal surfaces, and that can be pretty painful to remove. So it's definitely one of those classic, maybe don't try this at home kind of things. It's probably best to keep your tongue off the metal and just stay cozy instead.
All right. How about the women's side of it? How do we promote? How do we get more girls in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. Promoting the women's side of the sport is super. Yeah, absolutely. Promoting the women's side of the sport is super important and a great way to grow the overall community. One big step is to highlight and celebrate female athletes who are already playing, giving them visibility, sharing their stories, and making sure they have equal opportunities in tournaments and events can really inspire more girls to join. Also, having female role models and maybe even creating clinics or events specifically for young girls can help them feel welcome and excited to participate. It's all about creating an inclusive and encouraging environment.
Many girls that win the national tournaments or they win tournaments on a regular basis, they do not have a public profile, and whenever they win a medal or the top spot, they just take it, go home and just have it as bragging rights. But they do not advocate for handball or they do not try to promote it for other women or make any clinics or any kind of videos. Just there's just a few of them online that do that.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. It can definitely be a missed opportunity if top female players aren't sharing their achievements or promoting the sport. I think one way to encourage that is just to support them and maybe even give them a little guidance on how to build that public presence. Sometimes it's just about helping them see the impact they could have and how they can inspire the next generation. So hopefully, over time, more of them will step into their role and we'll see even more growth on the women's side.
How do we get the girls to start live streaming and promoting the sport on their own to film their games, post them their games online, have tutorials, all of this? How do we convince them to start that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a big part of it is just encouragement and making it as easy as possible for them to get started. So offering a little guidance or resources on how to do live streaming or how to film their games can go a long way. Also highlighting the benefits, like how it can help them build a following and inspire others can be motivating. And sometimes it's just about creating a supportive community where they feel comfortable sharing. So if they see others doing it and they feel supported, they're more likely to jump in and start doing it themselves.
Can you give me some tips, professional tips for singles and doubles?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to give you some tips. So, for singles and one wall handball, one big thing is really focus on your footwork and positioning since it's just you out there. You want to stay light on your feet and try to anticipate where the ball's going so you can get into a good position early. For doubles, communication with your partner is key. Make sure you're both clear on who's covering what and try to keep talking during the game so you don't get in each other's way. And in both singles and doubles, varying shots, mixing up power shots with some softer placements can really keep your opponents guessing. So just a few things to keep in mind, but have fun out there.
About doubles?
Yeah, for doubles, definitely building that strong teamwork is super important. You really want to develop that chemistry with your partner. One key tip is to have clear roles on the court so you both know who's going for which shots. Also, practice those hand signals or just get used to calling out who's taking what. And really just trust each other. Career zone, support each other, and have each other's back. The more you play together and communicate, the better you'll get.
What kind of communication is needed? What is it allowed?
Yeah, communication is really huge in doubles because it helps you stay coordinated and avoid those mix-ups on the court. It can be as simple as calling mine or yours, or using little signals to show who's taking the next shot. Even just encouraging each other or giving quick tips during the game can keep you both in sync and confident. The more you talk and stay on the same page, the smoother your teamwork will be.
What other variations of the sport there is?
Absolutely. It's all about building that flow and trust between partners. The more you communicate, the more second nature it becomes, and then you can just focus on playing your best game. So definitely keep that communication strong, and you'll see a big difference.
No, I'm asking other variations of the sport.
Got it. Yeah, absolutely. There are some variations of the sport. One common variation is three wall or four wall handball, where you have additional walls around the court, and that changes the angles and the style of play. There's also small ball versus big ball handball, which just refers to the size of the ball and changes how the game is played a bit. And of course, there are regional variations depending on the country. But yeah, one wall, three wall, and four wall are some of the big ones.
Which one has more money in the tournament?
Yeah, so generally speaking, in terms of prize money and tournament funding, the four wall version of handball, especially in the US, tends to have a bit more established prize pools. It's a bit more traditional in some places and has some longer running professional circuits. But one wall is definitely growing, and there are some pretty good tournaments out there, especially in New York and other places. So four wall might have a bit more funding historically, but one wall is catching up.
There's a $10,000 prize for the winner this summer. It's coming back. It's called US Open.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, the U.S. Open is a big deal and a great opportunity. That $10,000 prize is definitely going to draw in some top players and bring a lot of excitement to the event. It's a great showcase for the sport and a perfect chance to get more visibility. So, yeah, that's a fantastic event to highlight and a big step for the OneWall scene.
Let's see. Let's see what's the chat saying. I hope this was heard. Handel, hi, Handel. What do you do for a living? I work for this man, bro. This man is him. Hi, said hi, Georgie Chang, Mr. Chang.
Handel, hi, Handel. What they do?
I work for Lampfall.
Oh, that's cool. It sounds like you're involved in some really interesting stuff. If there's anything you want to share about that or anything else you need, just let me know.
Yeah, who is Lampfall? This man I have on my T-shirt. Mam Sheikh Ibrahim Afal. Who is he? What is he about?
Yeah, absolutely. So Sheikh Ibrahim Afal was a really significant figure in the Bifal movement, which is a part of the larger Maurice Sufi order in Senegal. He's known for his deep devotion and service. The Lampal or the Bifal kind of represent a subgroup known for their dedication, hard work, and sometimes a bit of a distinctive appearance with colorful clothing and dreadlocks. So he's a pretty inspirational figure of that tradition, and it's cool that you put him on your t-shirt.
What is the philosophy? What does bifal means?
Yeah, definitely. So the Bifal philosophy is really centered on devotion, hard work, and service. They follow the teachings of the Merid Order, and they really emphasize this idea of serving their spiritual leaders and their communities. It's a lot about humility and living a simple, hardworking life, and also a lot of emphasis on love and peace. So the Bifal are kind of known for their unique approach to spirituality and their strong sense of community service.
They have this thing that is called partage or share. They share everything with the poor or their brothers and sisters. What is that about?
Yeah, absolutely. So partage is the French word for to share, and it really captures that spirit of generosity that the Bifal are known for. They believe in sharing what they have with others, especially those in need, and it's a big part of their philosophy of living a life with service and community. So yeah, it's all about that spirit of sharing and making sure everyone is taken care of.
Yeah, Mr. Chang, I didn't do it on Sunday yesterday because I like to do nothing on Sunday. Just me, just about
Hey,
me.
no worries
No
at
handball,
all.
no nothing
Everyone
else.
needs a bit of rest and relaxation, especially on a Sunday. So it's totally fine to take that WAP and recharge where you need it.
Yeah, thank you for your help.
You're very welcome. Always happy to help. If we need anything else, just let me know.
All right, people. Any questions? I got answers. Yeah, it's like you see, you go straight to your left. There's two doors. The second door is open. Yeah, it's like you see, you go straight to your left. There's two doors. Yeah, maybe I'll do it 24/7, 7 days a week. I don't know. But I haven't slept much, so passed out. I needed my body to rest. I wanted to go, but my shoes were wet also. You see, now it's wet again. When you play handball a lot, and because I'm a righty, I'm scratching the right side of this foot. And right now I have a little hole here, so my socks are wet again. My shoes is wet again, so I'm gonna have to go put it to the heater. But I'll see you another day. I'm gonna make this shorter. Thank you very much for stopping by, and you have a good day. That's about it. Thank you, two people. Handel 35. Have a good day.